The Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou names 2 Celtic golden rules as he heaps praise on Dundee United boss Tam Kurtz. And also in today's video, if Celtic are this good without Kyogo, imagine what Ange can do when he returns, claims Chris Sutton. And a noticeable Lennoxtown appearance ahead of the Scottish Cup tie against Dundee United on Monday evening. And also in this video, the Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou tells us about what he does and what he doesn't do before he goes into the dressing room, or if he doesn't go into the dressing room before a game. And I'll tell you that in this video also. So first of all, Ange Postecoglou, what he does. The Parkhead boss has been in charge for 25 years in football, and he likes to help people that are just starting out, as it was said with James McPake earlier this season. He put out a statement saying how he helped him. Ange Postecoglou has 2 coaching rules of thumb that is never diminished with age. The pressure to deliver success and the pain of defeat remains acute as it was when he first started out almost 25 years ago. Quarter of a century ago. Anyway, he was revealing to the Celtic boss revealed in his old wise age. He spoke about relative appearance of managers such as Dundee United's Tam Kurtz and recently deposed Dundee counterpart James McPake. You know, and a possible pretender to his own throne, Scott Brown. The wisdom only comes through taking the blows as a boss as well as the plaudits. The time served Celtic manager insists that he's got a polarised view of prize and failure, and he's felt it deeply learning his trade down under in Australia. He says your first job is really a critical one. It often dictates whether you're going to have a career in the game at that level or not. It's not just about being successful, it's about the way that you conduct yourself and the way that you handle pressure. People notice these things in your early career, and that's one thing Scott Brown will manage fine with that. So it's really important when you're starting off as manager, the Celtic manager went on to say, that you embrace the craziness of the role and all compensates. It's all because it doesn't change. 25 years later, I've said to people, a loss today hurt me just as much as it did 25 years ago. All the same, the sort of pressure I had in my first year in terms of expectations on myself are still there, so that doesn't change. If you can embrace early on the craziness of the game, you have to be able to carve out a career for yourself, because that is key. Often young managers obviously start off wanting to be a manager but don't understand the success of any manager, and in that you just need to look at Barry Ferguson of Rangers. He's been an absolute disaster as a manager. Anyway, but there has also been some Celtic managers that haven't been players that haven't been as good as managers. Just because you're a good player doesn't generally mean that you're going to be a good manager. If you can still be doing it 20 to 25 years later, the Celtic boss says, then that's success. The longevity of his type of job is basically who'll stand out across the time, and he says that Tam Kurtz is doing quite well at Dundee United. On to Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton says, imagine what Celtic can do when they get Kyogo back. The Japanese forward he was incredible. You know, he was fantastic. Everybody loved Kyogo at the start of this season. The fact he's only played 12 out of 30 league games so far tells us what type of injury he's actually had. Kyogo Foriashi was racing towards Player of the Year awards before injury struck him down on Boxing Day. The Japanese player hasn't been cited due to the serious hamstring injury that he got just after the Cup final in December. When you think of the job that Ange Postecoglou has done to get Celtic into the position to possibly win the title and even the treble, the fact that we're in the Scottish Cup on Monday evening, you know, you have to be impressed what the Celtic manager's done, but not half as impressed if it was all done without Kyogo. You know, the majority of the season now has been played without Kyogo, and that's one thing that we have to remember. If you think what we could have been doing to teams over the past 2 or 3 weeks, you know, the past month, if we had Kyogo on the team, you know, he started with 12 of those with 2 subs, so that's 14 outings that he's had. The guy hasn't even featured 50% of the top flight games You know, it's just one of those things. Where would Celtic be? How many more goals would be in front? And how many more points could we possibly been in the front of the league if Kyogo had been playing? That's one thing that Chris Sutton goes on to say. Anyway, we go to Lennoxtown, and there's been noticeable appearances ahead of the Scottish Cup tie at Lennoxtown this weekend. Celtic travelled to Tannadice on Monday evening, and Ange Postecoglou has admitted that he is in every tournament to win it with the intention of winning it. As every team, every manager should be. You know, everyone's going in to win the competition. If you're not going in to win the competition, there's no use turning up. Celtic B team players such as Ben Summers and Rocco Vata have been spotted training with the side at the top of the table, and also the young goalie Toby has been seen on several occasions, but he's still waiting on his first team appearance. It's good to see that the young 16, 17 year old lads are actually getting in and training with the first team squad. The manager obviously knows if you're good enough, you know, it doesn't matter the age, you get them in there and you get them training with the first team so that the step up isn't as bad when they first take it. I mean, Celtic have been fantastic in bringing through players like Callum McGregor for starters, Kieran Tierney over the years. You know, it's about time that we got the treadmill up and running again. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's just, we need the young players to come through, because young players coming through the team are the backbone of your team in years to come. So Ange Postecoglou talks about what he doesn't do before the game, and he basically says, he told Open Goals Cy Ferry that he basically, what he does do, he says, I've always felt that the game day is the players' day. I don't go into the dressing room, says Ange Postecoglou, until literally sort of 10 minutes before the boys run out onto the pitch. I stay at the dressing room. It says that's their space. I don't even go out and see them warm up. I leave them to their own devices. Again, I just go back to when he played, and he hated people being in his face in the dressing room before a game. It's the worst thing, and it's the worst a coach telling me different things. We've had a week to work on it. If you're not telling me it's a priceless bit of information on game day, get out my face as a player, he says. He says, I just want to sit in my office and read it and watch a bit of telly and read the programme, pass the time as much as I can. It's my kind of way of just going through the process of what I'm going to do during the game. One other thing that you have to do as a manager is be prepared for every possible scenario. I'm playing all these scenarios in my head before the game has even kicked off. So that's the time when I just prepare myself for the game. He's right. The team does have multiple chances. They're training all week. If a good manager, it shows you how good a manager Ange Postecoglou actually is. And I just hope that he just has so much success at Celtic, because it's just we've got that feeling again as Celtic fans that I think we last had probably under Brendan Rodgers, but it seems to be a little bit better this time. So let's roll on to Monday evening. Let's get this win up in Tannadice, and let's get one step closer to getting to that final game in the Scottish Cup at the end of the season. And on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the